So, I said I would do it, so I'm gonna do a video on the power of common sense. Something nobody on this planet has, and when you have it, it's a curse, because just like altruism, it makes people hate you. Okay. People do not like intelligent people. They hate them. Intelligence is terrifying. Okay. To idiots, because they're idiots. And their natural place is beneath the intelligent person, believe it or not. But they point themselves controllers and rulers because they can't handle the fact that they're stupid. So, common sense is intelligence, and probably the highest form of intelligence, in my opinion. But how does it work? It's applied knowledge. It is using what you know to to predict likely outcomes and conclusions. Think deductive reasoning, like Sherlock Holmes. One of the times I recently used common sense was I've never worked on an HVAC unit before, so my dad's idiot wife broke the AC, and my dad told me to go look at it because I'm ingenierical. It's one part of my intelligence is ingenuity. I can come up with shit. At least I used to. I don't really bother anymore. I kind of just given up on life. So, anyways, this HVAC unit, I crack it open, and I take a look, I take the panel off. And the first thing I see is this giant aluminum triangle type deal. Don't know what it's called, but I know it has the base design of a car radiator. Now, I don't know anything about HVAC, but I do know what a car radiator does. It cools shit down. So I look at this thing and go, it probably cools shit down. That is common sense, because I am applying that it is similar to a radiator, so perhaps it runs off the same idea. I then start searching for the thing that makes the air blow, similar to how in a car you have a blower fan that causes the AC to blow. And lo and behold, above this thing is a blower fan. I was a little confused at the design intention at that point, but whatever. Anyways, this thing siphons the air up and blows it up, so I start troubleshooting. The first thing I do is I check the wiring on the fan, and I check the motor to see if the motor on the fan is functional. One of the easiest ways to check the motor on a fan and see if it's like dying is to actually just spin it by hand, and then turn on the unit, or whatever you're working on. Spin it by hand. If it starts spinning after you spin it by hand, then that motor is dying. I used to have an old car that you could open the glove box in and put your hand up inside of it and touch the blower, and I would spin the blower with my hand and it would start up. It probably worked for a month before the motor completely died and stopped working. So I tried that. I tried to spin the motor to see if it would just start that way, and it didn't start. I'm not an HVAC guy. I look over, there's a panel that has a series of switches and shit, and don't know anything about electronics. I've been told circuitry is actually not that complicated. If I was a rich person, I probably would have went to school and got that degree. But that's not how life works when you're poor, trust me. This world isn't about enabling intelligent people to achieve their highest self. It's about fucking people over, stabbing them in the ass, and then, like, if you do ever achieve anything in life, you'll be 180 years old and you'll be unable to use your money for anything meaningful. So, the only way to get money in this world is through lawsuits, which, like, I've had a couple of settlements, but they all been stolen by the church and given to useless retards who want to rape babies, human traffic, and murder people, because that's what we call justice in the world. Anyways, yes. So, using the power of common sense, I had deduced that the cooling system inside this HVAC unit was actually very similar to the kind of shit you see inside of a car, where a car has now, obviously, your radiator in your car doesn't directly link to the cooling of the AC. I mean, some cases it can. I've seen unique makes and models where they are directly linked. But that's one applied for common sense. The other side of common sense is how I do that thing where I meet somebody and they have specific characteristics like being emotionally stunted. Emotionally stunted people have had trauma as kids, and they are going to lie to you when you first ask them. They were raped, they're not going to admit it. If they fucked up childhood, they're not going to admit it. But as soon as you diagnose them, you know this imbecile needs help, okay? Underdeveloped social skills. Somebody is socially awkward. A lot of times, this is common sense. They didn't go to kindergarten. Yeah, a lot of religious morons love to homeschool their kids. They think it's a great idea until they put their kids in school and their kids are socially awkward and moderately retarded. And they're not actually retarded. I've had a lot of fucking people tell me they're like autistic, and I'm like, no, you just have underdeveloped social skills, dude. Here's a quick tip from Bob on underdeveloped social skills. You can't control what the other person thinks of you or how you're perceived, so stop trying to do that and just fucking talk. Okay? Find a normal subject and actually connect with people. It's not hard, not complicated. Anybody can do it. Trust me, people have been doing it since the dawn of time. Now you can get really, really complex with this shit. Like when I was helping the FBI and deducing all my shit backwards from the behaviors, how everybody at this church had the same kind of mentalities and behaviors. The shit goes back to high school when using common sense, I made that comment to that other guy that was like a leader at this shitty fucking church. And I said, it's weird that psychopaths are so charismatic because charisma is a trained skill. You have to be groomed for it. And they immediately caught wind of me and got crazy because they knew that I was on to them. And I don't know how anybody else has never seen that in serial killers. It's kind of weird how I just apply common sense to everything, but it's because I was overly parentified as a kid. As a result, I have an overdeveloped fucking parentified brain, meaning I'm the adult, even in this situation, I think about it. Technically, I'm supposed to be the adult, turn myself in, and go to prison forever, and then these little children are going to go run free and murder people and shit. And I think that's another reason why I am so apprehensive about turning myself in, is that's the dynamic my entire life, and I absolutely hate it. Yeah, I'm tired of being the fucking adult. And I actually told that to Anal Eating Mummy God, so before he put any of this stupid shit together, he was aware of that. And you're going to have to ask him why exactly. He was like, you're going to be the adult again. Yeah, I'm pretty tired of it. It kind of sucks when you're the only adult and everybody else is just going to do the dumb childish thing and you have no power to stop them. That's just how things work, though. They want to do drugs and then make up imaginary friends and talk to their imaginary gods and murder people and pretend they're friends with them after they're dead because they're morons. And you can't explain that to them because they're too stupid to understand it. When you're an adult, you're capable of taking in negative information that hurts your feelings. That's a part of growing up. These people can't do that. That's why the worst thing on the planet is hurting their feelings. Because they're women, or they're effeminate. They are effeminate now. In regards to that kind of stuff, I'm trying to think of other great examples of using, like, common sense in areas, I guess. When building a fire in your backyard, it's best to light it at the bottom because fire burns upward. Common sense. I mean, it can burn downward, technically, if you have enough fuel, but, like, if you ever want a good fire going, you want to get air mixture. 9/11 is an example where people were like, oh, there's all this extra, like, explosives and shit. Yet 9/11 was a work. It's a copy of Operation Northwoods, and I actually know the name of the people. This church was the ones that did it. Anytime you see, like, a Muslim attack, it's actually a false flag attack by a church in America. It's complete bullshit. Americans really should probably be aware of that, and it's probably on me for not getting to tell the entire public about how these guys are just full of shit and frame everybody for everything. Sit around pointing the finger, blaming, and just being general pussies. And it's all over money, spoilers. Money, power, and keeping white people in power that are inbred and moderately retarded. Where was I going with this? Yeah, 9/11. When the planes crashed into the towers, people forget that a building is nothing but a hollow tube. It is literally a hollow tube with a series of rooms. Once you crack open that building, wind blows in. What happens when you mix fuel, fire, and wind? You have that proper mix creates kind of like a furnace effect, creating ultra heated, hot, super hot. So people are like, steel beams melted at 9/11, and it doesn't melt. It makes perfect sense because that thing essentially turned into like a forge, a fucking forge with the crosswinds blowing into it, superheating the steel, melting it, and then causing the building to collapse. Okay, and buildings are pre-designed to collapse inward like that. Believe it or not, that pancaking shit, we saw it here in Florida. It's not complicated. It's not anything special. It's stupid. And it's actually from Reagan in the 1980s because he deregulated buildings and everybody thought that was a good idea until Southside had a bunch of buildings pancake and now they think it's a bad idea because people are fucking stupid. They don't have common sense. What is another thing of common sense? Oh, me and Stu, I guess, one of my shining moments using common sense was when Stu was like, I'm gonna teach you how to be antisocial, manipulative, lie, and cheat to get what you want. It's the best way to be a complete piece of shit. And here's the thing, Stu's philosophy wouldn't work without the church. He only gets away with that because the church backs him. If they didn't, he'd be a dead man a long time ago. Okay, now, I remember when he said that, and I was like, so you're some kind of antisocial genius. Yeah, and I was like, and you want me to trust you? And I started laughing, because common sense. If he knows how to manipulate, he's going to be manipulating you. And that is the thing with the right wing and how they manipulate people against their interests. I don't really bother with it, because after this entire event went down, multiple people approached me about the church and all the evil shit, and they're right-wingers. And they're like, well, we get rid of the government. And I was like, yes. And then this church that is just violent and stupid starts just murdering people to get what they want. I was like, they want you to get rid of the government. If you are against this church, you need to be a hardcore, extreme leftist. And you might go, Bobby, but leftist and socialism and communism's evil. It'll kill everyone. No, it will not. Social Security is a social program. If you like Social Security, you like socialism. Okay, if you want healthcare for all, or single payer healthcare, you like socialism. This is how you should think. There is nothing more certain than death and taxes. Benjamin Franklin, after the fall of the Articles of Confederation, he said that the Articles of Confederation were the United States original government where there were no taxes, and it didn't fucking work. Okay. And in lieu of that, socialism does not destroy shit. It in fact improves lives for the working class. It just is miserable for the rich because they can't spend all their billions of dollars on pedophilia and human trafficking. Okay? So, if you're an extreme right wing, maybe you should be extreme left wing. And we do need an extreme left wing because the CIA puts bullets in anybody that is an extreme left wing. So if you are a fucking staunch, hard fucking left righter, maybe you become a hard left because guess what? Unless you want this church to take over and just murder people, rape women, kill them, eat people's brains, and take us back to the Stone Ages where people are moderately fucking retarded. Like, trust me, nobody cares. I get mad because I have a strong sense of injustice. Sorry about that. Common sense, you need to get on the right side. That is common sense, okay? If this church is a right-wing fucking fascist, and fascism is right-wing, that is not up for debate. Right-wing fascist structure, and you are against fascism, you need to go left. We're not going to stop these people, by the way. I would actually need at least one good person to do the right thing in this world. And trust me, I'm the only person. Here's a little Bobby tangent real quick. I have a theory the universe just kind of makes do with what it's got, kind of like a poor person. I don't think anybody's born powerful or all that other shit. I think it's whoever the fuck exists. And I think the universe put this in my hand because it noted that I am not a supremely good or great being. It noted that I am the goodest being there could be. And I think it chose me for this test, believing that my goodness would somehow spread and help other people to be good. And that was completely corrupted and destroyed by a bunch of evil bastards willing to do the evil thing no matter what. And they are willing to do the evil thing no matter what. They don't care how many people they have to kill. They don't care how many lives they have to ruin. In their brains, they're the victims in everything. Okay? Even murder, they're the victims when they're not. They're the evil ones. And trust me, none of the church leaders are good people. If they were, they would shoot themselves in the head. Okay? But, yes. So, yeah. Anyways, these things are common sense. And I guess this last part's probably the most important. I just remembered this. In all art forms, simplification is the first step. If you're carving something, you want to carve it into the general shape of whatever you're making. In drawing, you want to start out with big boxy shapes that work slowly into the main form. Okay? You want to be able to put these things together aesthetically pleasingly over time, and that's why art can be so complex, is there's a lot of skill development, but everything goes through this cycle. The first thing you do fucking sucks. It's always shitty. Remember my mom telling me when she was learning to weld, her first weld sucked. Your first steps as a kid were not the greatest steps on the planet. They were uncoordinated, sloppy, and weird, just like you were as a baby. Because we were all uncoordinated, sloppy, and weird when we start something new, okay? But these developed steps can be seen time and time again when it comes to the human brain, because the human brain has to use neuroplasticity in order to develop those new skills. And correct old bad habits. Due to whatever undiagnosed autism I have, I'm actually really bad at drawing art, but I've been drawing forever, but it's the same way, like, I've been practicing singing forever, and I'm still terrible at it. I realize that is autism, but I also realize there could be a direct link between the constant heavy metal poisoning I was getting and my inability to develop correctly. Yes, I'm implying they stole a potential future for me. But these people have stolen everything from me, so I don't really care, because that's what they do. They steal your greatness and then give it to a bunch of entitled crackers. And they go, "This is mine, I deserve it, I was born rich, that means I'm superior, I won the birth lottery," and they're retarded, and you talk to them and you quickly find out they're retarded, and then you're like, oh shit. This guy has all the money and power, and he's a complete fucking imbecile. Trust me, they'll be presidents one day. There's no stopping them. Unfortunately in life, it's not about qualified position or any of those other things. It's about being white and having money, and that's it. So, yeah. And everything feeds into common sense when you actually think about it, and you have common sense. When you don't have common sense, I witnessed this with multiple people when we were talking about common sense. They kept making up amalgamations of something common sense like, but it was corrupted and twisted and worked backwards, and I don't know exactly what you would call that. I called it stupid sense. The Kevin and David guy I was talking about at work were literally using it and then just fucking up their conclusions, and I just fucking shook my head no. One of the last things that I will say is kind of common sense that's really funny with me. I've always I have a knack for this because I'm normally when I don't have psychosis, I'm actually super observant and I catch things. One of my friends kept talking about feet, and I quickly figured out he had a foot fetish because he had a complete obsession with feet, and he lied about it for years. So if you have a friend that seems obsessed with something, it's probably their fetish. Okay. Yeah. Just that. And a lot of my shit, even in psychology, and I will argue this, common sense is like a god power, because sometimes my brain can put shit together so fast, I just suddenly know a series of things that I shouldn't possibly know, and even the information is just so abstract and obscure that I even confuse myself with it. But yeah, this is common sense. my superpower.